Are you ready to become awesomer? Hello, everyone. My name is Umar. I'm your host on the No Limit Selling podcast, where industry leaders share their tips, strategy, and advice on how you can become better, stronger, faster. Just before we get started, I've got a question for you. Do you have a negative voice inside your head? We all do, right? I'm going to help you remove that voice in under 30 days guaranteed. Not only remove it, but transform it. So instead of the voice that sabotages you, there's one that propels you to much higher levels of performance and success. There's a link in the show notes. Click on it to find out more. All right, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the No Limit Selling podcast, where we interview industry leaders on how they grow their people, their revenue, and themselves. Before we get started, it's a special day today. Today, the app comes out. It's called Mindset Boosters. It's an app designed for salespeople to allow them to decide how they want to act and feel in any situation. So basically, if you don't have enough confidence today because of whatever, listen to a 5-minute track and it'll show you how to program your mindset so you take your confidence level from a 4 to a 10. And so basically, whatever the sales issue, we've got a track for that. And today, got the privilege of having Sean Leonard. He is the co-founder and CEO of Funnel Flare. It's a technology that allows salespeople to play with time. It makes their time more efficient. They get more calls in, they get more appointments, and they make more money. Sean, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited. Thanks for having me here.
So you know what's kind of interesting in the world of sales? There's 3 areas of beliefs that are really, really strong for people. One is around sex, which is like you can see somebody in a bar that you go, oh, that person's interesting, and go over, have a great conversation and be fantastic, and they'll love you. But if you decide I want to go out with them or sleep with them or marry them, and you go up there and you go, hi, my name's Ua, and all of a sudden it just changes everything because your intention is different. So in sales, we don't get too much of that. But the second area is around money. Money isn't just money. We have beliefs around money and asking for money. We've got a lot of negative beliefs around there. So if I ask people, finish this sentence, please, money is, people go, oh, it's fantastic. It allows you to do these amazing things. And after 4 or 5 positive attributes, the root of all evil causes fights, causes divorces, and the list is like 10 or 12 negative things. So in sales, we ask people for money and that's a hindrance. The second one is sales. You ask engineers, bankers that sell. What are you? I'm a banker, not a salesperson. It's like sales is a bad word, but nothing happens till somebody sells it. And so you help people use technology, Sean, to take some of that fear away so they can actually get into conversations and make freaking money. So talk to us about how you started this company, because it's a spinoff. Tell us the story about how Funnel Flare became a reality.
Yeah, so my background is I'm an engineer, and my background is in my first company that I was driving was in industrial process control. So it was really about automation. Right. It was how do we automate plants? How do we automate manufacturing processes? This type of stuff. And I'd started thinking about the whole concept of what is automation. And it's really at its core, it's the abstraction of labor. Right. As you think about in manufacturing, what automation did is it transformed the role of people. Right. From laborers to information workers, from brawn to brains. And so after exiting that last company, I had time and money, and I'd spent a bunch of time thinking about automation and how it applies to business processes. And by this time, definitely the concepts of marketing automation were well entrenched. People were using marketing automation. And what I saw as the gap was I saw that marketing is getting extremely complex from a digital perspective. And it's a case that it was going to get more complex. So my bet is that people were going to outsource their marketing to marketing agencies. Right? Professionals, right? You can only be awesome at many things, but most businesses are focusing on one thing, right? So we built a multi-tenant marketing automation system sold as infrastructure to marketing agencies. And if we really think of what the role of marketing is related to sales, it's to make it easier to sell. right? So whether it was a marketing agency or any marketer, really our whole goal as a technology company all came down to making it easier for folks to sell, right? Providing technology
Yes.
and in the hands of marketers would help companies be able to sell more, sell faster, scale, et cetera, right? And as a result of us having this marketing automation platform, we really, and back to the feeding salespeople as a role of marketing, is we needed to be able to really have an impact on the sales processes. We had to take an approach where we deeply integrated with the sales CRMs, right? Because it isn't just about handing leads over to sales folks and hoping they do something. It's about optimizing that process and
Yes.
ensuring that there's success for the salespeople, right? So we took the approach of being not just a marketing infrastructure, but just going so far into the CRMs where we could get, full attribution on the forecasting, on the revenue, all of this type of stuff. It's a long story, but it'll get to a point. And what happened was we were integrated with all these CRMs. So we started getting all these people, because we're in their marketplaces, who are using CRMs coming to our website. And the old adage about sales is in Mars and marketing is in Venus. It's true. There's two completely different mindsets from a execution perspective that we couldn't box marketing tools as sales tools and in the same story, right? Because it's a
Right.
completely different audience. And clearly we had something that they needed, and we were solving a problem for those folks. Um, so when we identified what that problem is, and that problem is the same problem all salespeople have, it's time, right? Every
Absolutely.
salesperson that and I manage salespeople, I've built sales organizations, and every salesperson who's really in the right seat, they love selling, they love engagement, they love the feeling of the win. They are very motivated to close business. Um, the issue is there's only 24 hours in the day, and every salesperson knows Pareto principle at the heart, right? It's 80%, 80-20. 80% of our revenue comes from 20% of our activities. 80% of our revenue comes from 20% of our time, right? This concept of time is it's about automation. So again, it's a long story. So what we did is we spun off a second company, which is Funnel Flare, and we took our very advanced marketing automation system and just took the pieces that helped get salespeople more time in their day, right? So that's that long story, but it was all coming down to this: is that back to what automation does, transforms the role of people and their activities, and abstracts the things that really are just administrivia, right?
Makes sense. And before we go into let's talk about salespeople and sales and the current climate. So I happen to be a Funnel Flare user, and what it allows my people to do is to very much, we've designed a process that you guys designed for us, which is a 3-touch system that the salesperson gets a list of people to call. They hit go, the system dials the first person. Either they have a conversation, which would be happy, or they get voicemail. If they get voicemail, they can drop a voicemail if they choose to. That's pre-recorded, so we know scientifically that it works. So it's not a different message each time, and you're not bored sometimes and super excited other times. It's just constant. You can also drop a text message, and you can drop an email and then go on to the next person. All those notes are recorded, and it just allows people to comfortably do 100 calls a day, whereas they could have done it in a day, but it would have been a painful, awful experience. This one is flip on the software, hit go, get the headset on, and then just, you could be on a treadmill. Whatever you need to do to stay focused, ready to go, and it's helped us a lot.
Yeah, and with that calling process, one of the things I've always, I've been using CRMs since the early days when it was a big, database in house to, through Salesforce, going on and on. And the reality is is the biggest challenge with all CRMs, and it's painful, is that it's getting them to use it. And
Well,
why is the administrivia, right? Okay, you talked about that, making calls. I make a call. I have to make a note in the CRM so that I, capture what I've talked about. Or if maybe I missed, nobody was home, or I didn't connect. I've got to track this stuff for myself because it's a project management tool
yes.
for project managing a large set of opportunities, right? And there is the administrivia piece that is involved in all CRMs that really, and that's why there's the challenge where salespeople quite often it ends up being the work that is not, back to your comments about how I'm feeling today, is it's not the fun part. I'm not having fun documenting. I'm having fun hunting, right? And so that's part of what our process does, is that all of those, the dial, it has the information ready for the person to make the dial. When the dial's done, we're doing transcriptions of the calls, inserting notes into the CRM automatically, and the status of what the disposition was. Did I hit, did I not? All of that stuff is just automated and pushed either natively into our CRM or into what the salesperson's comfortable with.
Absolutely. And I think if you take a look at Salesforce to get a contact done, it could take a number of clicks and a bunch of time to process that one record. Whereas you could have done 5 calls on Funnel Flare because this is all automated and it's just like click, 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 and off you go to the next. And it
Yeah.
allows people to maximize their time. More importantly, part of the hesitation in calling is, who do I call next? And this one tells you, this is the next person you're calling, and this is why, and off you go. And so instead of not cold calling and prospecting, it allows you to dedicate, let's say, an hour. If you're an outside
Yeah.
sales rep, a day, say, okay, from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I am in phone mode and it's all automated and off I go. And if you're an inside salesperson, then you're on it all day, but it takes a lot of the headaches away.
Yeah, and it's a case that not only just the process of making and documenting, it's a case that it's also, bringing up the contact, getting concept of, what is the state of this contact right now so that I can have a meaningful conversation. That's actually added time to the story too, never mind just the opening the contact, putting all this stuff in and calling, and then who am I calling next? There's a lot of time around just getting that call set up. And sales is a contact sport, right?
Absolutely.
It's not an activity sport. It is a contact sport. And where the salespeople are most effective is when they are uh, contacting and connecting with people and talking, right? The stuff
Absolutely.
that is again administrivia is, I've never measured how many emails my sales folks send, right? And the only thing I would measure if they're sending emails, it's not a measure of success, it's actually a measure of failure, right? Because if somebody's sending tons of emails, they're not, back to the contact sport, they're not contacting and connecting on a personal level with people, right? If I go to my inbox right now, I have 100 unread emails, and I'm going to process them today, but it's not going to be an emotional connection with any single one of these people.
So how do
So,
we balance that? So yesterday, I had one of the employees and we're doing a screen share because she's not here in Toronto. And I said, okay, so
mhm.
let me do some dials. And so the third dial that I did, the person actually picked up. And they said the only reason I picked up, dude, was I'm expecting a call from that area code. And I thought it was the person coming in. So otherwise, I was not going to pick up because if I don't recognize the number, I don't pick up. And we're getting more and more of that. So what do you see in the landscape as people are you've got a bunch of people saying cold calling is dead, don't cold call, it doesn't work. And you and I both know that it does work, but it
Yep.
only works if you get conversation. So what are you seeing in the landscape? Are we getting enough conversations? How many dials to conversations are you guys seeing?
Yeah. So, and it comes down to exactly that, is that, if the phone rings here, if someone's phoning me, first thing I'm going to do is look and see who it is. and assess my current workload, and is this important for me right now to take this call, or is it important for me to go back to it, right? If you just think of the process of the prospect, put yourself in the prospect's
Oh yeah.
time, I should say, frame of mind. And if it's a case that one, and what we've had a lot of success with, is starting off with a text message saying, "This is who I am. This is why I'm going to call, and I'm going to call at this time." Right? And because the reality is, I don't get thousands of text messages, right? And if somebody texts me and it's on point, in other words, this is something that is just like
Interesting.
all marketing. It's we want to make sure that our messages are right time, right place, right person, and meaningful. When we'll see, if I see a text message come in, it'll bing on my screen, and I'll look. I'll take that call. Right. And then when the phone rings, I don't care what the number is, I'm going to take it, because back to my rationale of accepting a call or not is it's my time. Back to the same problem salespeople
Yeah.
have, is it's my time, right? So that's one thing, is starting off with a text message or some type of a very concise, discreet, personalized email that is on point, and it isn't going on and on and on about whatever. It's just, hey, you're a busy guy. Is this interesting? If it is, click yes. We're good. Let's talk. Right. So
So on the
it's not just,
text,
yeah. What's that?
so on the text, would you put a calendar link in there, or would you just say, "I'm going to be calling at this time. Heads up. This is what we're going to be talking about." Thoughts on that? Because in the email,
Yeah,
I put a
and
link for an appointment.
yeah. Here's my appointment if you're interested in this. But if I'm dialing, right, my interest is get the person warmed up and make the call, because I'm going to make the call anyways, right? It's
Brilliant.
whether they respond or not, but it's a case that if I message back saying no, not interested, then that's a signal, right? But yeah, as far as putting the text message, the it has to be short, right? It can't
Yeah.
be like, if I get a text message that's more than a sentence long, I'm not interested. So it's got to be short, to the point, and if you can say, "This is why," I'll call. If not, embed an appointment, a calendar. We actually shorten all the links too automatically with all of our, when we send text messages, our funnel flare will automatically make the link
Shorten the
really
links.
short, so it's not this great big thing, right?
So
So
let's backtrack there a little bit. So if you're wearing your funnel flare, I'm the sales guy for funnel flare today, and you're sending me a text to say, "Hey," what would you say in the text, in the one line or two lines, that would interest a VP to say, "Yeah, I want to have this conversation"?
so an easy one would be, are you not hitting your sales goals, and you're not hitting your sales targets, and thinking of hiring more salespeople if I'm heading to a VP, because
Right.
everyone, when they're in sales, okay, there's one is, I go push on marketing to get me some more leads, but the other one is, I should maybe hire a bunch of salespeople, right? Maybe I need to hire a few more people,
Right.
hire a few more cold callers. So it's really about our pitch to, and again, if it's targeted, and the person who's typically in the CRO, or somebody who's in the revenue optimization side of things, we're saying increase capacity without increasing headcount. That's
Love it.
real. Or you're wasting, or your salespeople are currently wasting literally 1 day a week on non-revenue generating activities, right? So it depends who the recipient is. If it's CRO, then it's definitely somebody who's at least cognizant of, you know, how do I get more out of the resources I have? Because nobody has infinite budgets to hire people, right?
And of course, hiring people has its own set of headaches that you need to onboard them and sort out all that stuff. So I'm seeing a lot of organizations use video, where they have like a BombBomb and some other services that have a link that embeds video in your emails, or you can put a link in a text. Your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
on video as a sales tool?
Um, Yeah, and I'll back to me as the recipient, right?
Yes.
It's typically shows a little GIF or a little animated thing, and it's uh, I'd find it hard to get my attention in that little vid in the 1 or 2 seconds to I'm not going to click on it, number one,
Right.
because it's I'm too busy, and when I'm burning through emails, it's
Who's
and I
got a
don't know
minute
how
and a
many
half to
emails you
watch
get. Who's
video?
got
Yeah.
time? It's like a PDF. Who's ever going to read a PDF? Nobody, right? And the little GIF, if it's they can get the information in that little GIF, again, communicated to me quickly, then yes, I'll click it. So I can't say that I've clicked a video ever that I've received, but and it could be the case that I'm not getting the right messages sent to me, right?
So if you hold a sign up like this on your video when you do one of those, and on that sign it says, "I know where your children go to school," I bet you they'll click on it. Then send it to the
Um,
FBI, and that will not be a
yes,
happy thing.
yeah. Go
So
ahead.
going back to calling, so getting people to pick up the phone and certainly using that text as a gateway to get people to do that, super important and effective. Once you get them on the phone, world according. So there's two ways to go. One way is, so this is what we probably used to get you on the show. It's like,
What's that?
this is what we used to get you on our show. It was, "Hello, Sean. This is Umar from No Limit Selling. Our podcast has 230,000 downloads. We interview leaders like you on how they grow their people and their revenue. Would love to have you on the show. What do you think?" So it was
Yeah.
like simple to the point. There's that. And then the other one is more in terms of, "Hi, Sean. How are you today? Kind of what are your thoughts? Like, what do you need as a, CEO of a company? If somebody does get you on the phone, what do you want? Get to the point quickly? Like,
Yeah, and that's maybe it's my personality, but it gets back to down to time, right? Is where if I had the time to hang out and chit chat, chances are I'm going to do it with my family,
yeah, makes
right?
sense.
Because it's about it's part of life, and family is a big part of life, and the more time we can spend with our loved ones, the better. So when I'm in growth mode and work mode, for me, it's got to be short to the point. What's is this? Why are you taking my time? And what's the benefit to me? Right. So I might personally, I'd rather have the short to the point, and this is why binary decision, yes, no. Are we gonna keep the talk going? Right.
So think about a particular person that called you on a cold call, because that's the business you are in, facilitating that, and you happen to be the ideal target for a lot of people. Think
Mm-hmm.
of someone that called you on a cold call, and then your initial reaction was no, and you gave them an objection. Who is someone that comes to mind that handled the objection really well and kept you in the conversation and maybe landed an appointment? Does somebody come to mind that was skillful in doing that?
I get so many calls and they're all bad. And the thing
Yeah,
that is bad about them is uh, they are, you talked about the two approaches. If I get a call and somebody isn't to the point, and I'll just cut them off and say, okay, what's the point? What's in it for me? And if they say, if they keep dawdling, I'll just, look, I don't have time for this. But if they give me the pitch and the pitch is not for me, I'll be very clear. I'll just say, look, it's a waste of both of our time. I'm not going to get into the rationale and explaining to this person who's a salesperson what it is. I'm not going to be rude. I'm just going to say, look, no, it's not a fit for us. That's it.
brilliant.
I have an answer to somebody who handled it well, because I already have my strategy on the phone to cut to the chase,
Right.
get what's in it for me, and if there's not something for me, terminate the call, right? Without being rude. I know I manage salespeople. It's a case. It's a job, and I'm not going to make their day an unhappy day because there isn't a fit, right? But yeah, I'm not going to get into all of the objections or even talking about objections. I'll just say it's not a fit, right?
Brilliant. So, Sean, two last questions. Number one, what makes you happy?
Um, I'm very much into, and I've always have been into technology, right? And I've even in the early days, I'm an older guy, I was automating things, right? I was trying to figure out how to use technology to make life better, right?
Right.
Is even when I spent a long time as a developer, even, and when I was a developer, it was how do I write an automation to get rid of this administrivia that I'm doing in my code? So I'd spend 2 weeks writing an automation, and then for the rest of the time, one click, boom, everything's all set up. Put in the stuff that needs in my brain, right? So what makes me happy is being able to find a use for technology that makes life better, right? So that makes that I love it when we release something new with our product that is, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited because I can just see somebody discovering that, and it's going to improve how they're doing their stuff, right? So that's what
Brilliant.
excites me.
So it kind of reminded me as you were talking is the first time I saw a Palm Pilot. I think I sold 5 of them the next day, just describing it to people before I ended up buying my own. And that was like a revolutionary piece of technology that made me very happy. And so happy I sold a bunch of shit for them. So what's one mind hack that you can share that leaders could use to be more effective or more productive or happier? What's one technique that you use that allows you to do that?
Yeah, and there's lots of books on effective habits of successful people, and it's really, for me, it's when I'm doing my decision making, it's they always say what's think about important or this type of stuff, and I think about when I'm making my decisions is a lot of stuff I got to do isn't going to make me happy, but how can I spend more time doing as far as the decision making, what puts a smile on my face, right? So we
Nice.
got to live. It's part of life, right? Is we got to be when we're even growing a company, right? Is what are the parts of the stuff that you know just absolutely make me excited to walk in during the day, and the things I don't hire people, right?
Yeah.
Hire people to do it. Even if I'm really good at that, if it's not really
Doesn't bring
gonna,
joy? Yeah.
yeah, if it's not gonna blow my air back, it's like delegate, hire.
I was just
I don't know if it's a
reading
mind
this.
hack, but it's a philosophy.
I was reading this book by Dan Sullivan, Who Not How, and the whole thing is if you have the money to solve a problem, you don't have a problem. And it's more about the desire to do it yourself is so strong. Well, I could do this. And it's like, no, stay in your lane and hire somebody better than you to do that task, which I think are words to live by and easier said than done.
Yes, and maybe it's a case that I'd be more successful if I did more of that. But at the end of the day, it's a balance. You have to have a back to what makes you happy, what excites you, right? It's got to be, as you've got to be part of your decision making process, right?
So before we part company today, leads me up to a project I'm working on. It's called Project Happiness, and we collect stories from people of what makes them happy. And the very first video I took was in Athens, leaving Greece, the Uber driver, and I said, would you mind sharing what makes you happy? And as he's getting me out of his car, which probably made him very happy, he said, I work 12 hours on Uber, and when I go home, I get to take my 8-year-old son and my wife, and we walk by the Mediterranean. That makes me happy. And nobody in the hundreds of videos that we've gotten has said, when I get the Tesla and the girl and the job and the lotto, then I'll be happy. Everybody that shares goes, is simple things that we can attain right now, just like you described. Sean, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed it and learned a lot.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're looking for more tools, go to my website at nolimitselling.com. I've got a free mind training course there that's going to teach you some insights from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is the fastest way to get better results.